Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Wizards of the Coast, or from Hasbro. We're going to talk about some of that drama, some inside dirt from the site Commander's Herald. There was an exclusive interview with Josh Nelson, who said that an insider came to him and said that, yeah, this is what went down at Wizards. When they laid a bunch of people off before Christmas, they were blindsided by it. And they also give, whoever this insider was, they give some more details into just all the drama kind of going on at Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast right now.
According to this insider.
According to the insider.
Okay.
According to the insider.
I'll make sure I clarify that.
Yeah, now this is not our insider, so I'm hoping Mr. Nelson did vet this person. I'm sure he probably did. You know,
but according to Mr. Nelson, the insider said these things.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, because I thought it was pretty cold to lay people off the way they did at Hasbro right before Christmas. That was kind of an unspoken rule, like you don't do that at a company.
I think it's more shit that the people that, you know, are still there that are like, you know, in charge weren't the ones that were got gone. But that's just me.
Cynthia Williams and Chris Cox need to go.
They need to get that dick out of there.
So we're going to talk, get that dick out of office. We're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about this thread. Ben Riggs, who wrote Slaying the Dragon, which is a secret history of Dungeons and Dragons. He's got a whole long thread, and he is basically saying that D&D is done. Like D&D as a cultural phenom is done, and Hasbro did it in, because what's going to happen now is everybody that came together to play Dungeons and Dragons, they're going to go their separate ways now and split off into a bunch of smaller systems, gaming systems.
Only somebody had said this was going to happen.
If only
somebody had said, hey, I think it's going to kill it. And I think that the whole thing they did with the OGL is going to cause problems and create, you know, competition. If only somebody had said this a year or two ago.
I did, and people hated me for it.
I know.
I said Wizards are not good people. Hasbro are not good people now. There's definitely some shenanigans going on.
I know, right? That's my point. If only. If
only. So let's talk about all this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Go out to shop Clownfish.com. Pick up a copy of Crimson Wren Volume 1 and previously on Clownfish TV. If you like D&D and you like fantasy and magic and steampunk and stuff, you'll love Crimson Wren.
I'm pretty proud of it.
Yeah, the reviews have been pretty good. People
I was really proud of that one. I had a good idea and I sat down and just wrote it one day, and then you worked with me on it to break it into comic
Yes, we
form.
did edit it. It wasn't like it was just like, yep, we just like...
Yeah, no.
Then we drew it the next day, and that was it. That was
that's not how that happened.
Then we just like printed it. It took 3 days to make.
It got picked up. Well, no, actually, there was somebody. They took meetings about it at first second.
There were some YA graphic novel publishers that were interested in it back in the day.
But then we found out we were the wrong kind of people.
We weren't the wrong kind of people, but yeah, Jose Garcia is doing the art on it this time around. It would have been me back in the day.
Diverse person. So it's 2 diverse people and 1 straight white guy.
Yeah, and I was basically
suck it.
On this one. I was basically just the editor. So you know,
suck it,
suck it.
Diversity inclusion, bitches. I'll use it all day long and be like, kiss my ass. Anyway.
Also previously on Clownfish TV, lots of fun strips based on stuff we've said that we've forgotten we've said. On Clownfish
yeah, it
TV.
Is. I'm like, wait, did I say that? Yeah,
I forgot. Like, I would go through. I'm like, did I actually say this?
My mom liked it.
Yeah, she liked it quite a bit. Jim Wong, who did the art and the adapted our videos into comics.
Also, I don't believe he's a white guy.
I do not believe so.
So more diversity.
More diversity. Yeah.
Sit and spin. Anyway,
but anyway, he actually date stamped all these, and it was
that was cool. So
I can go back and be like, oh my god, I did say something that dumb. I really did. Anyway, let's talk about more dumb people. Let's talk about Wizards of the Coast, and one of the best segments in the Clownfish book is actually when I went off on a tangent about the Strixhaven prom module.
Yeah, that was so dumb.
Because I'm like, what the hell? Because they actually had like singing competitions, all
These
dating.
people cannot move past prom. They are like fixated on prom.
I mean, I understand, because Wizards of the Coast has definitely pivoted into the chasing the Tumblr crowd, but now they've made some very poor business decisions that have chased off the Tumblr crowd and the old school fans and basically everybody else. In fact, some of their biggest cheerleaders will talk about this thread that Ben Riggs has, and some of the old, guard, the biggest cheerleaders for them, they're noping out of D&D altogether. So they're not even going to have their fans staying for them anymore. In fact, their fans are making their own game systems.
Yes, to be their competition and downfall.
Yeah,
so
right.
Anyway, let's talk about these comments from the insider, which are very interesting. I did read through this. Yeah,
so we've been covering the Hasbro debacle, and more than 1,100 people were left unemployed right before Christmas.
So many.
Right before Christmas. For reasons of their protection in the industry within which they're still aiming to be employed, this is the insider. We have omitted our interviewees' names from the article, of course. Why would you not?
I agree with you. We don't ever out our people who tell us stuff either.
So this is what the insider said. Was the layoff something that came out of nowhere? This is what the interviewer is saying. The insider says yes and no. While there were communications that numbers were not where they needed to be.
That's how it starts.
That's how it starts.
Always.
That's how I knew I was laid off from the one job. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm like, this isn't enough to cover the bills. Something's going to happen. Do I need to be worried? No, it's all good.
2 days later, hey, you're done.
Hey, you're done.
You're going to tell everybody else.
All conversations point to this being due to the toy division of Hasbro, and the changes would be taking place on that end. We had several town hall Q&As with Human Resources, with Cynthia Williams, and with Chris Cox, where this was brought up.
I blame for this.
Yeah, Cynthia Williams and Chris Cox both came from Microsoft. They're both video game people, and they want to turn Hasbro into a video game company.
I'm just like, why are the people not fired after all the damage they've done? Probably because they told the board, hey, if you bring us in, we're going to pivot to video games and media, and that's what we need to do.
Yeah, so apparently Cynthia Williams interrupted HR. HR said that they're killing it, that Wizards was killing it, and she said no. She corrected her during the meeting. She said we were not. She called out to someone in the back of the group saying, I believe Wizards' numbers are lower than last year, to which the person she was speaking to said they were actually up. Then she tried explaining this as Wizards not hitting those numbers needed. She pointed to, that she promised to the stockholders, and if not for Baldur's Gate 3, the company would be in trouble. When this was brought up in the Chris Cox town hall, he commented about being more toward the toys division and changes would be made. So my understanding is that, and again, this is just a casual observation. We've been following the Hasbro thing for a while, but Wizards of the Coast, even though people are pissed off at them, that's been like the only bright spot in the company that they've actually been bringing it. They're probably not doing as well as they did during the pandemic, but like everybody was locked in their houses, playing board games, playing tabletop games.
I think they promised the shareholders that they got, keep us on here. We're going to turn everything to video games.
Yes.
And that's what I think they did. Now, Baldur's Gate wasn't completely them, but that's not to say they aren't promising, we're going to start doing our own games. Because you have these two people you brought Cox in and he brought Williams in, and they both are from Microsoft.
Yeah. And
this is not their domain. Games and stuff are.
Toys and anything physical is not their domain. So they're going to look.
There's a joke there. Sorry.
Well, they're going to look at this like,
you can virtually play with Cox.
Yeah, now you can virtually play with Cox, right? There are websites for that too. And then you can like send Cox some Bitcoin or something to see more Cox. But yeah, they want to do the virtual tabletop thing. They want to do more Baldur's Gate video games. And again, the production costs, like you don't have the overhead. You're not producing a physical thing. And they've made comments before. It was Cynthia Williams that made the comment that basically D&D players were getting off cheap because she doesn't like that the dungeon masters go out and buy all the books. No. Every player that plays D&D needs to be monetized. Mm-hmm. So they're going to try to turn it into some shitty gambling app or something.
Oh my God.
I guarantee it. And there was a rumor before the pandemic. Apparently the pandemic threw a wrench into things, but there was a rumor that they were going to bundle it up and sell it off to like 10 cent or something. And that's going back to like 2018. That Hasbro's like, yeah, you know what? We know this thing has got a limited shelf life.
Well, I think after 2020 happened, the pandemic and all that, it kind of proved really profitable because people were trapped at home. They changed that plan, but now they might be going back to looking again at some of these plans. But then again, if they're just trying to keep their jobs by promising video games or digital, they're going to want to keep that.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah, because digital, yeah. Was there severance? Was it reasonable? There was. Looking at what's been offered at other companies is definitely in the lower end. Where are the internal fault lines both within Wizards of the Coast and within Hasbro? Is there any generational divide, for instance? They said,
the old heads.
The old heads. The employees within Wizards all meshed really well. You had to. Teams were so short-staffed and begging for headcount before the layoffs that you didn't have a chance to clash back.
That's another reason why you should have known something was happening. When they weren't hiring people you need and you were supposed to be doing the job of several people and you weren't getting help. Yeah. They're already complaining about numbers, making, comments about that. Then they're not giving you help. You should have known something was coming.
That's kind of how, again, there are signs, like when you're as old as I am, and you've worked as many jobs as I have, and you've spent most of your career working in corporate, there are signs. You know what to look for. In fact, I'm not going to go into detail, but there was one company that we have worked with that I started to see some of those red flags going off. I'm like, I bet they're getting ready to sell this company. I bet they are. And I was right. It was on the down low, but I was right because you know what to look for. And when, they tell you things are fine, when you're looking at the books and you're like, they're obviously not fine. When there's no future, there are no future plans. That's the biggest, like, hey, what are we going to do next year? I don't know. We'll talk about it next year. It's like bullshit. If you're a corporation, they're going to plan it out quarter by quarter, year by year. You
have to have all your meetings about meetings.
Right.
If you're corporate America.
And if they're not talking about plans that include you, just assume you might not be involved in whatever they're going to do going forward. Right. So yeah, they said from your experience with the layoffs targeted at upper, middle, or lower class employees, they say across the board, the only exceptions were the execs who need to be held accountable the most.
Exactly. Cox and Williams are the ones who should be, ousted. But,
Yeah. Is your faith in Hasbro as a company any different now compared to a month ago? Well, I can't believe you had, like, my guy or my gal or they, them, whoever. The person, the leaker, right? We have been covering this situation with Hasbro beyond Wizards, just like the decline in Hasbro for the last 2 or 3 years now. Like if you got blindsided by this, they probably thought they were safe because they're probably looking at like, yeah, Wizards is basically,
they kept getting told they were safe because they weren't talking the toys that everybody else thought they were going to do. And then they seem to have gutted Wizards. Yeah. Probably because they're going to bring new people in to make it go to video games.
They're going to turn it into a shitty mobile app.
I think this is funny. Faith is much, much lower.
Really?
Well, duh. However, this was dropping even before the layoffs happened. The constant need to squeeze customers for everything they could while requiring employees to do more and with fewer resources just showed that they were strictly about the money.
A corporation is strictly about the money.
And Hasbro especially. And yes, companies have to make money, but there was a clear disregard for the customers here. Concerns and feedback were constantly raised to leadership, but it didn't matter. Only to just keep pushing the product. Well, that explains a lot because the toys that have come from Hasbro have been declining quality with higher price tags. You have less paint on toys. Toys are in boxes that you can't see what was inside it.
Yeah,
to save plastic. Bullshit. To hide your mistakes.
Yeah. Because other companies, it's amazing. They have plastic bubbles on their packaging and they're recyclable. They have the recycle logo stamped on it.
I look at that and I recycle them.
Yeah.
Because I'm ridiculous.
But I'm like, that doesn't hold any water because Mattel, all their action figures, they're in window boxes, they're in bubbles. And you can recycle that plastic. It's just like a soda bottle.
Yes, it didn't make any sense.
It didn't make any sense.
Then there's like the Dungeons and Dragons figures, for example.
Oh, they were terrible.
They're terrible. And then people were opening the boxes, they're missing parts, they were broken. And there was Transformers, the same situation, that they were in boxes. When you'd open it, they were missing like a whole wing and everything else. It's a joke.
Yeah, and a lot of people, it's so funny because I remember with the Starscream from the movie version, the re-release of G1 Starscream in animation colors, and people were like really excited for this toy, and somebody left a review on Amazon. They're like, this is like a cheap knockoff, and people are like, you haven't bought a Hasbro toy in a long time.
Right.
Because that's what they are now.
They're cheap plastic. They're awful.
Horrible. Like the Beast Wars figures they had out, they were the cheapest they were like dollar store knockoff toys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then they want like $30 a toy plus,
35.
So I said plus.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So yeah, they've been screwing people over for years, and this is like, it started.
Cox, so.
Yeah, it started before Brian Goldner died, but it definitely ramped up, and they sold off their entertainment division too, because that was Goldner's thing. He wanted to do movies. These guys want to do video games.
When you have to watch out when there's a Cox, they always want to screw you.
They do. Well, when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons, every time there's a woman named Williams, they want to. That's a whole nother thing because there was another Williams involved in TSR.
Ironically, a new Dungeons and Dragons, a woman named William also has a cock.
How much exposure to the details of Wizards of the Coast branded items does the standard Hasbro employee have? Do you see or hear anything that look like? Wait, do you see or hear anything like book names or packaging before it's announced? That depends on what products you're working with or on.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, you have to have insight to build campaigns, marketing. But insight was all there was. Again, feedback, concerns, and anything else brought up was dismissed. I don't know why. Like Hasbro and Wizards, unless they're doing crossovers, it's pretty. They seem like two different companies, honestly. Okay, what was the reception to Alda Fox's attempt to separate Wizards from Hasbro in 2022? We reported on that. There actually was an investor group that said it is in the best interest of shareholders to separate Wizards from Hasbro because Hasbro is a sinking ship.
Yeah, but the thing is, yes, because the fact that at the time, the only thing that was doing well was Wizards.
Yeah, and they were like, Wizards was riding high, and they're like, hey, let's spin Wizards off into its own company. And but Hasbro needed Wizards because they needed to boost their numbers. Like, oh, look how good we're doing, guys. Never mind that all of our toys are rotting. Our Disney, Star Wars, Marvel crap is just rotting at Ollie's bargain bin, which now, Ollie's bargain bin, that's what they should call it. Ollie's bargain outlet. And now they're dumping D&D stuff there too. Mm-hmm. It's just, this is where Hasbro goes to die. It's a freaking shell game. I think whoever the hell is in charge, whoever the board needs to be fired. Like everybody at Hasbro needs to be fired. And you need to be like, hey, we're going to be a toy company again. Because you can make money at toys. Mattel's doing it. They turned it around. They're making money on toys. Why can't Hasbro make it? It's not enough money. That's the thing. It's not enough money for these investors.
Well, here's the thing too. Hasbro keeps making these really dumb decisions like potato people and stuff like that.
Potato persons.
And they need to take it back to center, and they need to go, what's the largest common audience we have? You can still make things for your, audiences that go this way or that way, but you need to take it back to what is the most common thing. Constantly nitpicking every class now and saying you can't have this and you can't have that.
Because it's racist, it's offensive, it's
sensitivity readers, all that. People just roll their eyes at you at this point. They're just rolling their eyes at you, and you did it to yourself. You could probably walk it back, but I don't know how long it's going to take because people are just pretty much turned off.
Yeah. This is kind of interesting though. So what's the internal reception to the Magic Arena economy? They said players complain about stuff as long as they're spending money. Why change anything?
That's exactly it. Yeah,
that's Disney too.
This whole thing sounds like Disney.
What are some resources about to help those who are laid off? LinkedIn. They said basically go out to LinkedIn. That's all they said. But it's interesting because they were led to believe, I guess, that things were fine and don't worry about it. Everything's cool. It's all cool here.
When Cynthia Williams starts saying that no, it's not fine, and then saying that stuff that was incorrect, and people had to correct her. That should have been another indicator they were looking for excuses to get rid of you.
Yeah, because, if they're like, well, actually, no, our numbers are up. And, that's not the answer I wanted. You need to tell us how we're...
isn't it your job to know?
Yeah, you're the freaking CEO of Wizards. You're supposed to know most CEOs every damn day, they're checking the ledgers to see where the financials are.
Why would they want it to fail?
That's a good question.
Why is it in their best interest to try to make the narrative that they're failing?
I think they're going to fire sale some assets of Hasbro. They already fire saled E1, which is their movie production studio, and they sold to Lionsgate. I think they're going to chop up Hasbro and sell bits of it off. And that's kind of scary. But I mean, we've been talking about this before, like their toys. Most of their toys are outsourcing. Most of their brands have been outsourced at this point. Like I can't think of any major Hasbro brand that has not yet been outsourced to another company in some capacity, whether it's Super 7 or Basic Fun or, whatever it is. And Hasbro could just be like, we're just going to be like Embracer Group and we're going to be like this rights holder company. And then we're just going to license this stuff out. But Embracer Group's failing too. So anyway, this comes from, we'll just go through this real quick here. This is Ben Riggs, who wrote Slaying the Dragon, History of D&D. Got to give a hat tip to Mr. Killwolf666 is fuck. Oh, no, wait, no minors is fuck. Okay, yeah, we don't want to do that with minors. Sent this over, and so I'll give him a hat tip. But I'm not going to go through everything, but he's basically like, we have reached peak D&D. said that we had a lot of people come in because of Critical Role and because of other YouTubers. And, that was a double-edged sword because a lot of us old heads were like, yeah, these new players are nothing like we used to be. And they're the ones that want the prom and the coffee shop.
What is this here? Because of the increasing number of gamers, even strange, freaky, or weird TTRPG ideas could find an audience.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there definitely was even if you don't like a lot of the stuff that came out, there definitely was a renaissance in tabletop RPGs. What he's saying is that everybody kind of rallied around 5e, and now that Wizards has tossed a hand grenade into that, everybody's going their separate ways. Like there's still going to be a lot of tabletop role-playing games out there, but you're not going to have anything approaching the size or brand recognition of D&D because, everybody's doing their own thing now. But I mean, the flip side of that is then you've got a lot of options and you can kind of get a system that plays the way you want to play it or whatever.
Yeah, but also the problem with that is it's going to be harder for any of those other systems to do, to become as popular as D&D. Because now you had one big one that everybody was kind of, you have a couple different ones, but there was factions around those, right?
Yeah.
And then when you threw a grenade into this and split everybody apart, you're taking this big amount of people and sending them like 100 different directions with 100 new systems. So you have 100 different systems and not any of them are probably going to be as big, though.
That's what he's saying.
I didn't even read his comment.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what he said. He said basically because of the OGL, because everybody's like, yeah, we're going to go.
It's almost like I'm smart or something.
I think you're smart or something. Yeah. Talking about how Critical Role was the biggest advertisement for 5e and they dropped it and they're doing their own thing now. There's another YouTuber who went out and did his own system and he's got like $4 or $5 million on backer kit now. And so everybody's, it's fragmenting.
Is it a Godzilla one?
The Rising Godzilla 6th edition, which I don't think people are going to back. I think at this point,
we need a Godzilla one though.
I'm
sure there are.
I think there is a Godzilla one. We'll have to see. But I think, they said
instead of
countless companies working to make your D&D 5e game better, they're now asking you to, play another system. And we're entering an era of division, faction, and balkanization. But the problem is none of that money is going to Wizards. And people are walking away from Wizards for various reasons. And I think the way that they treated their employees is definitely going to chase some more people off.
I know. I'm just concerned, though, about the fact that you went from having like a couple very big, very popular, Pathfinder, all that stuff going on. And while some of them are going to maintain, Wizards was like, D&D obviously was like one of the biggest ones out there. And then you could have like a lot of people understood it. So you could have a lot of people cross the platform. And now you're going to have this person on this side, this person on that side, and this person playing that one. And 100 different, systems out there you played, all with different rules. And I think it's not going to have the same cultural impact that, it's not like pop culture anymore. It's not like you're on the water cooler. It's like this.
Yeah. I think that's it. I think because now it's like you're asking people to.
So is it going to make it less popular because people aren't going to have that connection to talk about it and get excited about it together? Because I'm playing this. Well, you're an idiot. You should be playing this. And
I don't know. I mean, everybody knows what D&D is, but like you're like, hey, we're playing this whatever the Candelabra Obscura or whatever the hell the thing is called from Critical Role, which some people said just is not that good, but whatever. And, people were watching them because they wanted ideas for their own D&D campaign and they were entertaining. But now it's like, it's not D&D anymore. It's like, it's going to be kind of weird. I mean, it is. And he's basically like, they blew up with that OGL debacle on top of everything else. They blew up whatever goodwill there was. And they pretty much destroyed the community on top of destroying the brand.
Right. So it's no longer like, it's all fragmented.
Yeah. So, but they did that to themselves. If I were a shareholder and I were looking at them being like, hey, yeah, let's bet on D&D, let's bet on Magic. And I looked at the damage that they had caused. I'd be like, get Cox out of here, get Williams out of here. But the shareholders might not understand. Their board members might not understand any of this shit. They might just be like, show us the money. Oh, well, Baldur's Gate sold.
I'm sure they're being told by Cox and Williams that everything's fine, and that I think that they're being told they're going to Baldur's Gate is the biggest thing ever. We're going to go all in on that.
Yeah,
we're going to make all kinds of money, and all they care about is money. So Anyway, can we wrap this up?
We're going to wrap this up. So we're going to have a lot to talk about, I think, in regards to Hasbro, because they're just burning down in real time. So please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.